Movie reviews with Popcorn Movies.
Excellent. So welcome everybody to our third podcast. We are Popcorner Movies, and we're gonna be talking and discussing about topics of movies. Yeah, really obvious. So first of all, I would like to introduce what we're gonna be discussing right now. What are we gonna be discussing right now is who is the best Batman. Okay. We're gonna talk about movies, and I don't know if you have seen all the movies, but we're gonna be discussing about the characters of Batman.
I'm Batman.
So first of all, in my right, I don't know if you see him. In my right, that's Sean and Moises, and I'm gonna be discussing with these two crazy guys over here. So your turn, Sean.
Hi guys, I'm Sean. How are you doing? We're going to be talking about Batman. Super excited. As we'll vote at the end to see who our favorite Batman is and who our favorite Batman isn't. So looking forward to seeing the guys' aspects and the inputs on that. And yeah, sit back and have fun.
Yeah, I think that you have a guitar over there. Why don't you play something for us?
All right, my name's Daniel. I'm really excited for this conversation. I've had similar conversations with coworkers and such, and there's some debates to be had here. So I'm really curious to see what your guys' perspectives are. And to you, world, who do you think is the best Batman? And we're going to have this discussion. So definitely comment on our page, and we'll have this conversation open to the public.
If I get him to you, can you get him to talk?
All right.
Okay, guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop this.
Let's go to the very beginning of maybe like what started off this kind of debate. So we have Adam West, who comes in on the TV show as Batman, and he comes in with this really goofy character, kind of a little bit like Sean, yeah, so
Adam West.
Super good, right? And this is what we have as Batman. But to a lot of people, Adam West is the Batman. So what are your thoughts on that?
Adam West is awesome. It was such a good show, and the climbing up the side of the building. I mean, you can't beat that. It was just comical more than anything. It wasn't even like movie quality. It was just hilarious just watching it. And plus, we're watching it now from like our modern day 21st century perspective, and then looking back at this, how this was made, and like the techniques they used, and how they were actually crawling horizontally, but it looked vertical and things like that. It's just a whole different world to what we have now.
Well, the boom,
the
bang,
all the special effects.
Exactly.
You didn't need that with Adam West.
Yeah. You know what I found really interesting about those movies, that show about Adam West, is that Batman could be, I don't know, in the middle of an island, in the middle of, I don't know, in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, and suddenly at the end of the show, always were these girls, groovy girls, these hippie girls dancing, suddenly appearing in the show. It was like, what the hell?
Don't forget
It's only Batman is in the middle of an island. It's like that. All these girls at the end of the show dancing.
You know what, Moises? I'm sure at the end of this episode, I'm sure you would love to have some of these girls dancing beside you. You know?
Yeah, you're the next Adam West.
Exactly. All right. So Sean, you have the comedy, but Moises has the girls. That's what it is, right?
Do you remember this iconic?
Great.
Do you remember this iconic scene of Adam West doing the, how is it called, this bat dancing? Come on.
Yeah, the Bat Tuesday are you referring to?
Exactly.
Just like, oh yeah, let me show you my dance moves, and then he's just kind of like got this like, oh yeah, you go Batman. Like it's like the funniest thing ever. If you've never seen the Bat Tuesday, go look it up on YouTube right now. It is the funniest thing ever. Like looking back at it, it was just like, okay, whatever. But like now watching that, it's just so amazing, and it's so classic. And I think that that comedic side of things really highlights the Adam West Batman.
Well, that was closer to the comics, really, wasn't it? Like with the way they brought out the zap and stuff like that. It was just closer to the
Yeah,
comics, and then they kind of
I think in the beginning of comics, yeah. So yeah, you definitely have some of those things. So I think they were trying to transition the comics to these television shows, and that's kind of how it translated. And it wasn't like Batman himself is a very dark character, and perhaps it's a good segue talking about our next Batman. And that's Michael Keaton. He was the next one that came in, and he came in. I actually just watched the Batman yesterday, the 1989 version with Tim Burton at the helm, and that was a completely different Batman. It was not that same comedic Batman that you had the very first time. This was a little bit more of a, hey, I'm kind of a messed up person, and I'm Bruce Wayne that's messed up, and I'm also Batman that's messed up, and this is the dark side of me.
Yeah, well, but you have to take into consideration that the director of that movie is someone that is also really, really dark, man, Tim Burton. I mean, he's not specialized in doing happy movies.
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing, though, because Batman is a very dark character. Think he dresses up as a bat, for crying out loud. Bats are dark. You know, just look at like pop culture history, you know, like bats, vampires, like Dracula, that type of thing. It's got a darker feel to it. So even like Adam West's Batman is very much kind of contradicts that. Unique in its own way, and it's great, but Michael Keaton definitely brought something new to Batman, and something that was quite unique, and I think that's something that really helped set the tone for Batman going forward.
Yeah, well, it was night and day, really, because like Adam West was it was a lot brighter, obviously, but it was also during the day. A lot of the scenes, like, because you see Batman and Robin run around during the day, whereas the Michael Keaton's one was just, a lot of it was just at night when he was Batman and Bruce Wayne during the day. So it was just literally the contrast between night and day. So it was like it completely changed around from humor into kind of darkness. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, I think the first one, I think that the first movie of Batman with Michael Keaton was something really, really awesome. And one of the main characters over there, of course, if you remember, is the Joker. So I don't want to spoil anything, but the people that are watching us, you should wait for our next discussion, because we're gonna be discussing about the Joker in our next video. But I mean, I think that also helped Batman in that specific movie to Michael Keaton, having Jack Nicholson as the enemy, you know, as the Joker, really helped him to be like a really dark Batman, you know. I don't know if you have seen the second movie of Batman with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito as the enemies of Batman. It changed a little bit. I don't know, what do you think, but I would prefer to stay with the first Michael Keaton movie. I think that Batman is darker.
Oh, it's definitely darker. Yeah. I prefer the second one, but I like Danny DeVito. Like, obviously he's not like the typical Frank Reynolds character you see him in Always Sunny now, but you know, Danny DeVito was a brilliant villain. He was excellent. Like the way he did it up and the character he played, and just the way, it was just fantastic.
But do you consider that the Batman stayed the same?
Yeah. No, I think the Batman changed up. I can't really say how, but I know he changed up.
Yeah, me too. I know that it changed. The only word I can find right now is that I found a little bit darker the Batman of the first movie of Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Did you find the first one or the second one was more dark? Because I thought the second one, so Batman Returns, I thought that one was a little bit darker than the very first one with Jack Nicholson.
Personally, I found the first one darker.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
I think
I find the Joker one
to this, but I definitely think that it had, like, I laughed so much in that movie, and I think that's part of like Jack Nicholson just being a really funny actor, and just how he he did the Joker role. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in our next video. But yeah, I think overall, like Keaton definitely brought the darker side to the Batman character role, and I think it is definitely noteworthy. And I think like he had 2 movies with Tim Burton, and after that, the next Batman was Val Kilmer, and I'm actually Val Kilmer. I'm watching the movie right now. Or sorry, I just finished watching the movie, and
Don't remember me. Who's the enemy? Who was the enemy? Val Kilmer, Two Faces, and Riddle.
Had Two-Face and Riddler, and like Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. Phenomenal villains. Absolutely phenomenal. They were so good. They really started the movie. Val Kilmer felt like this playboy type of Bruce Wayne. And I think that was good, but I wanted to punch the guy in the face the entire time. Like I just absolutely was like I hated his Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne and Batman are 2 in 1. You know, it's a package deal, and I think that Val Kilmer just really was not great in that role. I like part of me, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit later on, but like his face was just kind of like a baby face. It wasn't like a rugged Batman face that you kind of come to expect, you know.
Is that the Batman that had nipples?
Sorry?
Is that the Batman that had nipples on the bat suit? That was something that was really commented. I don't remember if that was that Batman. I don't remember. The bat suit has some nipples, and right, it's something that people just make fun of it. I'm pretty sure it was Val Kilmer, you know?
Was it Kilmer or was it the next one? Was it Clooney? I don't remember. All I know is that in it they showed a lot of like bat butt in it, kind of like they did with Captain America in the most recent Avengers movie. But yeah, no, it's just I personally really did not like Kilmer as Batman.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I thought he was kind of very robotic in the way he kind of used the character, like as
yeah, just the way he talked,
you look at other people
the way
and they have a bit of
interacted
charisma.
with, yeah.
I mean that's the important thing. I mean he was kind of a playboy, you know. He was considered like kind of a playboy. He acted in Top Gun, and he was that kind of playboy. So I think that's not the first person we think about when we think in Bruce Wayne. You know, even the comic, you have like a more brunette or black hair Bruce Wayne, and this guy was kind of a playboy. Yeah, totally agree. And just to go for our next Batman, yeah, actually I have already research about it, and yeah, actually is the next Batman. There is George Clooney. He was he suffered, and a lot of fans make a lot of critiques about his bat suit because the bat suit has nipples.
Oh, there you go. You heard it here.
Yeah.
For comfort, man.
What do you think?
It didn't before he became Batman, but it did after.
Yeah.
What do you think about George Clooney?
Oh God, like I recently tried watching the movie and with Mr. Freeze. It was Batman and Robin, and like a lot of the characters had reoccurring roles. So you had Robin now becoming Nightwing, and Chris O'Donnell. He was great in the role, but I think the biggest problem in that. Yeah, there you go. You seen it there. Yeah, I think like it was just the way that Clooney interacted with Mr. Freeze was just so stupid. Like in that very first scene, they're talking about playing hockey. Like, I'm Canadian, I'm all up for hockey, but like, goodness gracious, it was an absolute train wreck. And I had to shut it off. I couldn't watch it again. I was just like, my goodness. How can I go and sit through a 2-hour-long movie watching this nonsense? Clooney was not made to be Batman. Schwarzenegger, he's made for those big, like, macho man movies. Give him an Expendables role. He's great in that. Just he's good with a gun, just not a freeze ray gun.
I'm Robert Nato. I'm Mr. Fraser. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, there was too much going on in the Batman and Robin. Like they tried to introduce two more
100%.
characters, and there was like two. Like, how many villains were in Batman and Robin? 3, was it? Yeah, it wasn't Bane, Mr. Freeze, and
This girl, I forgot the
Ivy.
name.
Ivy.
Ivy. Yeah,
So
I know the name in
yeah.
Spanish.
So
I
they
can't
like
tell you the name in
two
Spanish.
villains
I
and
know
three
that it's
superheroes.
Piedra Venenosa, but I don't know in English.
Like there was way too much going on. Like they should have cut it out. The movie was like 2 hours long, and there was you can't fit in that amount of action into a movie that long without ruining it.
And here's the thing with this is that they I think everybody was kind of sick and tired of it. You didn't see a Batman movie for another decade after this one, and like that was like a big problem. This because they were pumping out Batman movies every 2-3 years, and then they just stopped. So that there was something seriously wrong with Clooney's Batman, and everybody admits to it.
I think the main issue in that Batman is that it's the beginning also of Robin. Actually, they were planning to exploit more the character of Robin, but I think the main issue here is that they tried to present a Batman more like a father. That's why they tried to present more like a Bruce Wayne, like a mature Bruce Wayne, to act as the father of Robin. And we're not looking in Batman. We're not looking at father. That's why I think he was not able to connect with the people. And we have to remember also that George Clooney used to be part of movies of, how can we say it, romantic comedy movies.
Yeah. He was a sweetheart bachelor as such, whereas he didn't slot into the Bruce Wayne role.
Yeah, I think like part of the reason is why they chose him is because like Val Kilmer was put into this role of mentorship of this new Robin character, Dick Grayson, and he looks like he's maybe 10 years older than him. There's not much of a difference in age, and so it really felt awkward for Kilmer to kind of mentor this new character, this Dick Grayson character, and I think that it was kind of off. Like if Kilmer had his own movie, didn't have to share time with Robin, I think it would have been a little bit better. I love the movie, don't get me wrong, but I think that part of where that movie fell a little bit was just because of that tandem between him and Robin, and he just couldn't fill that mentorship role quite so well. And I think that's why they got Clooney to try to fill that gap, but Clooney was just an absolute wreck.
Totally agree, and I don't want to spoil, but Sean, do you know who killed Dick Grayson?
No, I don't.
Do you know Daniel?
Not in the comics. I can't remember. No.
The Joker. Come on, that's something that is like.
Gosh, why didn't I think about that? Because yeah, sorry. I'm thinking, and like everybody knows this, spoilers. But I'm thinking Joker is killed off in Batman, the very first Batman movie. So whenever you're saying this, I'm thinking who killed Dick Grayson inside of this new inside Batman and Robin. And I was like, I can't. I just watched the first 5 minutes and I couldn't handle anymore. But yeah, it's even alluded to in Ben Affleck's Batman. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But where like Dick Grayson is killed by Joker, and it kind of leaves Batman a little bit messed up. He was already messed up, but still. All right, let's maybe move on to the next Batman, which is Chistian Bale, who really brought something new to the character and brought that "I'm Batman" voice. I think that was great, and I think that he was opposing some really, really great actors, some great villains, and he stood the challenge. He was opposite Ra's al Ghul with Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson is like he's immortal whenever it comes to movie roles. He is just so good. We don't even need to talk about Heath Ledger because we know that performance was unreal. and then whenever he was going against Bane, so like his performance was just, and it was a much darker Batman. It was Dark Knight. It was really, really dark, and it was even much more darker than what we had seen with Kilmer and the rest of them, even with Tim Burton at the helm.
Yeah, no, like when you started with Batman Begins, like it's obviously about the name Batman Begins, they're trying to start it all over again.
Exactly.
Repurpose their name. But yeah, no, but he was brilliant in Batman Begins. That was a really kind of dark, opposed to the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. I thought that Batman Begins was a bit darker again. But no, he was just fantastic at coming into the character, and you could see like his whole process of training. I thought like half the movie was about his training, so you kind of get to see where he comes from and how, like, what he's gone through. I thought that was the where they succeeded most, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, I think also here the selection of the director is really important. You can see the essence of the director in the people he chose for the movies. This time it's Christopher Nolan. It's like a dark Batman, Batman also, but it's a really different dark Batman of what we were talking about in the first movie of Tim Burton. So I really consider that this Batman actually helped again to create a new, to reconfigure the essence of Batman just after George Clooney did that, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever train wreck that was. I think he becomes the generational Batman, the next generation's Batman.
He's like the millennial Batman.
Yeah, exactly. And like I remember I was in high school and secondary school, and like I remember people were wearing like the Batman shirts and all that memorabilia, and like it was just insane how like popular it was, and it really was mainstream in my secondary school anyhow.
Yeah, well, I think the villains made the newer movies as much as the hero as Batman did himself. Like, I think the villains I picked was fantastic. Like, Crane was a brilliant villain. So
yeah,
like,
and I think I was just going to say something that I think even Christopher Nolan wanted to emphasize the villain as the star of the movie as opposed to Batman. And I think that's a really unique point of view in seeing that the movie was about Ra's al Ghul. The movie was about Bane. The movie was about Joker. Those were the stars of the movie. Batman was a supporting character, though the movie is named after him.
It always will be.
Yeah, totally. And I think the second movie that for me is the masterpiece, the masterpiece of Batman, the second one, I have to admit, or well, that's my opinion, that Christian Bale was crushed by the Joker of Heath Ledger. I mean, I consider that in the second movie, Batman just go into a second position, even though it's the same Batman that we're talking about. But come on, you had like one of the greatest Jokers in the movie. Batman just disappeared. Batman just disappeared in that movie. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Joker kind of he took front stage in that movie. There's no doubt about it. He took over from everyone.
Yeah. You want to say something?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I think that I don't think anybody can dispute Heath Ledger's performance. I mean, with the sad part about it, I mean, he lost his life because of it. But it was just, it was super sad to see the reality of what ended up happening, but I think it really immortalizes the movie really, and it brings it to another level because of that death, which is, it's sad to say, but that's kind of just the reality of how things turned out. And he really got into the headspace of what a psychopath Joker would actually be. So anyhow, let's maybe move on to our next Batman, our most recent seen Batman, and we've got Batfleck, Ben Affleck as Batman. And so he didn't have his own standalone movie, but he certainly had a few movies where he was Batman vs Superman. He was in the Justice League. So what do you think of his performance?
First of all, we have to consider that he had already another superhero role, and
That's true.
he screwed everything. It was not something that people want to remember. We're talking about Daredevil.
Yeah.
Why didn't who was thinking that adding Ben Affleck as a Batman after Daredevil would be like a great idea? I don't know.
But think about this. Think about Chris Evans. He was the Human Torch in Fantastic Four, and then he becomes Captain America. And Captain America, like Chris Evans is Captain America, and like that's an iconic role. But we tend to try to push aside that other side of things, and like I think it's just we needed to at least give Ben Affleck a chance to kind of redeem himself in that superhero genre.
Yeah, I understand. And also happened that with Ryan Reynolds. He was Green Lantern, suddenly he decided to be Deadpool. But I think the main difference is that, I don't know, maybe Ben Affleck was considered to be like more recognized actor. I don't know, but what failed? What was the difference between Chris Evans, Ryan Reynolds that did not happen to Ben Affleck? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem. So we recognize, and I think DC's recognized that those movies were flops. And I think the reason why is because like DC just tried to rush everything all at once. They really tried to catch up to Marvel. Marvel was about 4 years down the line of DC, and DC just didn't catch on. DC was trying to do its own thing. They wanted their own content. They weren't following storyline to the comic books. They weren't listening to fans. And because they were doing their own thing, it flopped. And I think that was the biggest problem. Unfortunately, Ben Affleck was caught in the middle of all of it. I think that there was just a lot of terrible castings. There were some fantastic castings. So I think about Jason Momoa as Aquaman, and I can't think of a better character to do that. I think he was a fantastic Aquaman. Even the movie was great. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Like we have Wonder Woman 1980. Like
no, it's in general. She was great. She was really Wonder Woman. That's
come on, Sean. There are kids watching this channel, Sean. There are kids watching this channel.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think that his casting was bad by any means, but I think the people beside him were terrible. I personally absolutely hate Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he's just such a robotic character. I don't think he can act properly. Even like, and we won't get into it, but even in The Witcher, he's just got this like this dull face. It's like he doesn't know how to act, and I just don't like it. And I couldn't even watch Witcher because of that.
Yeah, he kind of suited the Batman role, but he didn't suit the Bruce Wayne role. That's the problem. He wasn't the affluent bachelor that walking around spending his money. He just seemed depressed as Bruce Wayne all the time. He was miserable. He was a miserable character, and he was just not enjoying himself as Bruce Wayne.
You know what I hate? I hate his little ears, man. What the hell with his little ears in Batman suit?
That's the costume person. That's their fault. But like if I'm to like look back, I actually like his Bruce Wayne character because he's this rugged guy. So he kind of brings up that like messed up Batman or messed up Bruce Wayne that like we talked about earlier. But he's also really messed up because Joker killed Dick Grayson, and he's a little bit messed up by that. He's not in his right mind. He's trying to isolate himself. He's really just in a different place altogether. And I think that like you got to blame the script as well. I mean, I don't think they did it any justice in any means, but by any means. But like, yeah, I don't think it was bad. I think that like his fight scenes were pretty good. But yeah, I think there was just a lot going against him in the role that really made his role really just ready to just flop. Like he didn't have a chance.
I just want to say a correction, and that's my fault. Apologies, because I have confusion with the name between Spanish and English. Dick Grayson is still alive. Jason Todd was the Batman that was killed by the Joker. Jason Todd, because I have confusion with the names, in Spanish and in English. But yeah, he was killed by.
Okay.
It was my fault.
Right.
My fault.
So we're a YouTube channel here, and we don't even know our own who killed who. We're just fans. We're just talking about this. We're just ranting on.
We're not talking about comics.
It's fun. We're just having a good laugh at things, So if there are any of you out there that are watching and are just absolutely screaming at your screens, we're just we're fans, but we don't have all day to read all the comics and whatnot.
And we want an A1 in our assignment, so
yeah, exactly.
Thumbs up.
All right, let's maybe move on to our final character who has not yet appeared on screen.
No, Lord.
So,
what?
You know who we're talking about? Robert Pattinson.
The vampire shines when he has sunlight. Come on.
He's gonna walk out in the sunlight.
That could not be the Batman. You're kidding me.
He's gonna walk out in the sunlight in his Batman costume, and he's gonna shine. It starts being shiny. It's gonna be ridiculous. Who put him as Batman? It's absolutely ridiculous. We'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we have that he had some problems doing muscles. He had some problems doing the muscles and forming his abs and everything for the Batman movie. So they have to delay a little bit the film of Batman because of that.
I just think about the casting. They go and they pick this young actor to be Batman for a while, and I get it. I get that understanding. But there were better people that they could have picked than Robert Pattinson. I think the biggest problem that with Robert Pattinson is that they're picking the guy who starred Twilight for comic book fans. Who out of the comic book fans were watching Twilight? This was a teen girls fantasy, and maybe some boys were watching it, but I remember growing up in secondary school, and I absolutely could not freaking stand it whatsoever. It was just absolutely crazy. And Sean, I think you're one of those boys that was watching it, and maybe you're a fanboy and excited about Robert Pattinson as Batman. But my goodness, I cannot stand the fact that Robert Pattinson is going to be the next Batman. He is not my Batman. I mark my words, not going to be great.
Take it easy, man. Take it easy. It's not our fault. Take it easy. Sean mentioned something. Sean mentioned something really interesting, that Chistian Bale could be the Batman for millennial. Do you consider that Robert could be like the Batman for Gen Z? No. That could be what they were thinking about when they choose him.
Who would you pick?
No, I don't think so. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that they're going to say that this is the next Batman for the next generation. I think with the technology we've got, I think people are just going to be looking back to the old Batmans. They have access to it. Just in society, people are looking back to the 80s and the 90s anyways, and they're trying to relive that. So I think people are going to rediscover Kilmer, and I think they're going to be rediscovering just all the other Batmans. Even they'll go to they'll even go to Adam West, and they'll be seeing that, and they'll be laughing their heads off. And I think people will be experiencing that Batman, and then be like, "Well, what's this Batman's just a joke." I don't see it happening.
Yeah, let's see. Who would you pick as a millennial Batman?
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber, yeah, support Canada. Yeah, no, that, you know what? I would actually prefer Bieber as like Batman.
Ah,
I
come
honestly
on.
think it
Just because he's
could be
Canadian,
so
come
much
on,
better.
man. Don't say
My
that.
goodness,
You know,
my
the,
goodness. Yeah,
our
get
5 followers.
Justin Bieber.
We have only
as
5
Batman.
followers. We have 5 followers right now, and they're gonna unfollow just because you have already said that. You know, our 5 followers are right now crying because you said that you prefer Justin Bieber as Batman.
I gotta support my country, man. Just like you gotta support the sombreros and the tacos and the burritos,
So many
man.
better Canadians than Justin Bieber.
Be careful, man. You are on social media right now, and that be considered racist. Be careful.
All right, man. All right, man. We're good friends, so I know I have a little bit of grace here. Don't worry. I love the sombreros, the tacos, and all that stuff. It's great. It's absolutely great. No, if you're talking about Canada or we're talking about Rush, Rush is up there. They're fantastic. And I know Moises, you love the classic rock, and Rush is right there. All right, how did we go? How did we go from talking about Batman over to Canada, Mexico? We haven't even talked about Ireland. Well, that's grand. We're fine.
Okay, so we vote for your favorite Batman. Daniel?
Favorite Batman. Okay. It's really tough, but after just recently watching it, I really like Keaton. Keaton is just he just has something about him that's just really good. He brought the role. He brought like kind of like I'm a little bit messed up, and I really can't relate socially, but I'm still Batman, and the way even like just he's interacting socially, I think is great as a Bruce Wayne, and his Batman himself is just so menacing. It was so great. Just his performance next to Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito in the next movie, which is phenomenal, and I just absolutely love it. Moises, what about you?
Here's Clooney. No, I'm just kidding. I think I would say Michael Keaton, just because that was my first the first time I watched my first approach with Batman, and he has a special space in my heart. So I will stay definitely with Michael Keaton, because I used to have video games, and in McDonald's you have a lot of things about Batman, and everything was focused on Michael Keaton. So I think just emotionally, that's why I will choose Michael Keaton. What about you, Sean? Where are you?
I'm gonna say Christian Bale, because I don't know whether it was down to him or down to all the movies he was in, but they were huge blockbuster movies that kind of ticked all the boxes. Like the three movies he was in were just fantastic, and I thought he played a major part in that, although not the only part in that. But I think he ticked a lot of boxes, so I'm going to say Christian Bale.
Yeah, I think the debate there is which one of those two are the best, Michael Keaton or Christian Bale. And even just talking to my coworkers, that was kind of like the consensus. There is the debate there as to who is the best Batman, and those are the two that keep coming up. And I think that
maybe you could tweet them and ask them to fight. They'd definitely be up for that.
Batman versus Batman. That would be a great movie. Forget Robert Pattinson. We could just go Batman versus Batman. See the OG Batman versus the newer G Batman. All right. Let's maybe ask the final question of who is the worst Batman?
Oh, George Clooney. Come on. That was an awful movie.
Those nipples, man. I don't want to see those nipples again in Batman, man.
Gosh, if I have to watch another minute of Clooney as Batman, it would just I don't know how I'm going to survive. It's just a train wreck. I'm expecting Pattinson to be better than that, but who knows?
So I would like to encourage our 6 followers, because we have right now 6 followers. Someone just has started following us while we were doing this. Our 6 followers to discuss and give us their own opinions, and to comment a lot, so we can have an A1 in our assignment.
Do it.
Excellent. So what are we gonna be discussing next, guys? So we're gonna discuss next Joker, right?
Joker.
Yeah.
Really.
Joker. Excellent. Perfect. So do you
Yeah.
have anything extra to say about right now about Batman before closing this first chapter?
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. Thank you so much for watching us and see us the next time. Goodbye. Music.
Peace.
Pow!